Welcome to Neighbor. My name is Lynn Corum. I'm your host today. And today my guest is Nancy Heydinger. Nancy,
hi, Lynn.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Nancy, we usually like to start our shows with you telling us a little bit about yourself. So tell us about yourself.
Well, I could go a long way back, almost 50 years. I grew up in a big family. I had 3 older brothers and 3 younger sisters.
That is a big family for
very
today's standard.
athletic family. I was probably the least athletic of all, but I was the middle. 3 older brothers, 3 younger sisters, so that was kind of fun. I have a bachelor's degree in elementary and special education, and teaching jobs were scarce when I got out of college, so I took a temporary banking job, and I was a banker for 18 years, which was fun. And then I had a couple of years of teaching literacy at Vernon Elementary School when my children were there. And during all that time is when I started Girls on the Run.
And you're here, you are known in the community for being the person to go to for Girls on the Run. How old an organization is it, and what is it?
Our national organization is 15 years old. It was started in 1996 by Molly Barker in Charlotte, North Carolina. And Girls on the Run Vermont started in the year 2000.
And did you start
I did.
Girls on the Run
I did.
Vermont?
We just finished our 11th season.
Your 11th season.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So a season makes me think it runs just a certain amount of time.
It does. We run our programs in the spring, and it's a 10 to 12-week curriculum, followed by a 5K event right at the end. We generally, in Vermont, do the 10-week curriculum because we have such a long winter. And then the summer comes, and we need to be done by the time school gets out because we pretty much run after-school programs.
So what, Girls on the Run, a lot of people are interested in physical fitness and self-esteem building and that kind of stuff, and it seemed that through athletics you can do this. What are the goals of Girls on the Run?
Our goals are to help. The major goal, the reason the organization was started, is we are a running program with a curriculum that's designed to help elementary and middle school girls break free of what's the girl box, and that's a phrase coined by Molly Barker, our founder. And it's a place where girls usually go around 5th grade when they think that it's more important to be, beginning to think it's more important to be popular than to be who they really are. And that's why Girls on the Run was started, and it's to help the girls stay out of the girl box. And again, it's the messages that the girls are getting from all over the place as they go on in their elementary and middle school years. If you can visualize a young girl, 1st, 2nd grade, hopping into school and a ponytail, one here, different color socks on, and just bopping into school and being really active in the classroom and raising her hand all the time and running out on the playground playing games. And this wonderful girl, with free-spirited girl. And as she gets older, it seems to change, and she may be, not in all girls, but may become quieter, and she becomes more concerned with what people are thinking about her. And so then she may start to conform to the messages that she's getting from media and family, peers. And so the girl box is a place where, she feels like she's not thin enough, she's not pretty enough, she's not smart enough, she's not perfect enough. And so our goal is to get the girl or help the girl stay out of the girl box.
But those things, you're not smart enough, you're not pretty enough, I think they affect all girls. Everyone has that thought.
And we all do, as adults. And when I learned about the girl box, and at our office, we always laugh at ourselves when we act like we're being in the girl box. When I'm saying, I can't do something, or I'm not this, or I'm not that, it's a girl box behavior. So it kind of catches us. And we have to try to stare ourselves outside of the girl box.
Now, the idea of positive thoughts and negative thoughts, because you just mentioned, I'm not this, I'm not that. Do you work on catching those thoughts so a girl would be in your program and say, oh, I can't? What is the coach's response?
Maybe you haven't yet, but you can try. You haven't, I haven't done it yet, but I can try. And that usually happens. It doesn't usually happen because of the way the curriculum is structured. And it's all about the girl's own pace, her own goals. So she can, and it doesn't matter if she walks or runs. At the end, the physical goal of the program is for the girl to participate and complete a 5K event. And it's walking or running or skipping or whatever she wants to do within her own goals. But the curriculum is set up extremely positive. So,
And now we ought to just make it clear, because not everybody knows what 5K is. How does that compare with miles?
thank you for asking. A 5K is a 3.1 miles.
Okay, that helps us. I mean, I hear that, but I don't always remember what the conversion is.
And it's quite a challenge, you know.
It's 3 miles, yeah.
For, you know, if you told me that as a third, fourth, or fifth grader I was going to be able to complete a 5K when I was a child, I would think you were crazy. But now everyone's doing it. It's great.
So the vision is that you're going to take these, have these girls enroll in this program, and they will gradually be able to meet this goal. Are there other goals the girls have along the way?
And the way the curriculum is set up, I mean, what we really want is to, again, keep these girls out of the girl box, so that, you know, we're a prevention program, so to lessen the risk, the at-risk behaviors that they could fall into when they're in middle school and high school. So all the lessons are centered around helping the girl to be strong, to believe in herself, to know that she's wonderful just the way she is. And so the curriculum's structured into 3 different parts. And the first 3 weeks is focused on the girl and her own goals, her values, standing up for herself, staying away from drugs, taking care of her body. And then the middle section of the curriculum is all about team building. So it's learning about cooperation. There's a lesson on not gossiping, on bullying, yes,
all those
healthy
skills.
decision making, all those skills. And then the last section is, the last 3 weeks focuses on the girl and her role and responsibility to the community. So
there's a little group. Well, first of all, how big are usually the groups of girls?
The groups are 15 girls, and there's 2 volunteer coaches per girl. And our coaches go through a 5-hour training in the wintertime, and they're CPR and first aid certified. And the way the lessons happen every day is the girls come together and there's a getting on board activity. And after the getting on board activity, which I'll explain a little bit more about, they sit down in a circle and they process and they talk about what just happened at that activity. And the processing is the most important part of the lessons, because that's where they're having discussions, important discussions.
And so these activities are part of your curriculum. They're designed in there. A coach doesn't have to think them up.
No, everything the coach has to say and do is laid out for her, or him. So there's the getting on board activity, and then they process it. And then they have a warm-up activity, and they process that. And the processing is sitting down in a circle for 3 minutes and talking. Then they have a workout activity, and they process that. And so, for example, this would be taking care of our physical selves. This is this lesson. So the getting on board activity, the girls would come in, and it's kind of like musical chairs. They'll all stand in a circle on a piece of paper, and there's one girl in the middle. The girl in the middle doesn't have a piece of paper. So she'll yell out a healthy habit that she has or aspires to have. It might be, I wear my bike helmet every time I ride my bike. And if it's a true statement or the girls believe in that healthy habit, they have to move from that piece of paper to another one. Not one that's right next to them, but they have to move. So the girls are all moving to another paper, and then there's left with somebody in the middle that doesn't have paper. So that girl might say, I brush my teeth 3 times a day. So for the true statement, they run around and they, you know, or a true or another statement, I drink 8 glasses of water, or I eat, I eat 2 fruits a day or 3 fruits a day. So they do that for about 5 minutes. And it's fun. They're laughing, and am I going to get the paper? I'm going to be stuck in the middle. And then they'll come around to process that, and they'll say, well, what healthy habits had you not thought of, or are there any healthy habits that were mentioned that you don't do that you think you should do? So that's how they process that. And then they go on to, in this case, the warm-up activity is, while they're sitting in their circle, they get 4 index cards, each girl, and they write a food down that they've had within the last 24 or 48 hours. 1 food on each index card. So then they stand up and we get them into a group. And so there's going to be 3 different groups of 5. And to get them in the group, we give them each a tiny, in this case, a tiny piece of paper with a song written on it. And they have to hum their song. There's 3 different songs. So it might be Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, If You're Happy and You Know It, or
You're My Sunshine.
You're My Sunshine, yeah. So they hum their songs to find their group. So that's a really fun thing to do. And then they get in their groups, And we have the food groups. We have a discussion about the food groups in this lesson before we start. And so we have an envelope with each of the food groups about 50 yards away. And the girls get in their teams lined up, and it's a relay. They take their index card, they run up and put it on top of the food group that they did, and then they run back. And they keep doing that till they go through 4 times. And during it, they're cheering for each other. It's not a race, but they're just like getting energetic. And so after they've all put their food groups where they go, their foods on the food groups, they come back and process. And we say, okay, look, how do we do on fruits and vegetables? And how did we do on, oh, do we have too many in the fats category? And, or, you know, what would be more balanced? And so they get to see what they've eaten and whether they've, had balance.
Do they, do you find that the girls have, it surprises them sometimes where their particular food belongs? Is that a learning process too?
It is, and sometimes it's hard to tell too. I mean, even for us as adults, when we do this in our training, we're like, oh, I'm not sure where that one goes. And so we can talk about that. So that we love that, because then it's actually the food that they have eaten, as a group, and they can discuss it and see. So then from there, that processing happens, and from there we go to the workout activity, which is, in this case, like a go fish game. So they're going to run around like a half a soccer field. That's their running, and they're going to do laps around it. And we give them 2 pieces of paper that have healthy habits on them, and their goal is to get a match. So their first ones probably won't be a match. So they run around the circle, they come back to the coach gives them another piece of paper, and they're hoping to get matches. And, so it's just like the goal. So what the whole thing is, they're running, and their running is disguised in fun games while they're learning healthy habits.
Yeah, and they're also processing that, a lot of different things, in this whole means. They probably don't even realize what they're, that they're working out.
They don't realize it. No, that's what's fun. And that's what just makes it fun. And every lesson after lesson is really fun. Like, you're like, oh, this is a good one. You get to the next lesson. Oh, this one's great. So the girls love it.
So now it's 10 weeks that you have this program in here. And how many times do they meet each week?
They meet twice a week, like a Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday, for an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half.
And how many different groups do you have in this area?
We have,
county.
In this county, we're in almost every school. I can't tell you how many
different groups there are.
I can't tell you how many. In almost every school. We are in 117 schools throughout the state, and we had 2,065 girls this year.
Wow.
But yeah, it's been great, and we can have our programs wherever we have volunteer coaches and school support. We just want to make sure that the school is interested in having us there.
And how does the school support you?
All we ask is that they support us, that they want us, that they'll give us a space outside or in the gym or in a classroom if it's raining out. And many times the coaches are the guidance counselor at school, or the school nurse, or teachers. So that's nice. We've got some principals also that are coaches for us. We also ask them to use their photocopy machine, and some of the resources, like the lesson plans might call for cones or things that we need, and that the school can provide, jump ropes, things like that.
And these programs are usually held after school's over?
They are, because that's when the girls are available and all together. They can be held at any time. Up north, they have some programs that are at 5 at night, and they seem to work, which is great. I mean, our fear is once the girls go home, it's going to be hard to get them back.
Right. Well, the transportation problems always come in. Is there something that happens at the state level? Do the girls get together through the whole state at some point and celebrate anything? Or is it more regional?
It is. It's really split up into northern and southern Vermont. That's where we have our 5K events. The Southern Vermont 5K is at Brattleboro Union High School, which has been the most amazing host in the world. The staff helps us. They give us their multi-purpose room to use. We have the 5K ending on the track around the football field. We have probably 80 high school kids that volunteer for us, including some teachers too. So Brattleboro is great. And then our Northern Vermont event is held at the Champlain Valley Expo. And we've also recruited students and teachers from Essex High School, South Burlington High School, Burlington High School. And Tom Heydinger is the guru to the 5K events. I mean, he puts them on, and without Tom, they would not happen.
So this is your husband?
Yes, he's absolutely
In
amazing at what he
this too,
does.
yeah.
Yeah. He's a huge part of Girls on the Run.
Now you had sort of had the typical job course that all of us have. You know, went to school, got your degrees, you know, got a job. You were in the bank. I remember when you were down with Chittenden, I think, and maybe it was first Vermont to
National.
Vermont National to Chittenden, and then this pops in under you. But you were always a runner.
I was always a runner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So somehow you were motivated to get this going and take on the whole state, which is huge, Nancy. So what was your motivation?
Well, I had children, and I had 2 girls to start, and then Tommy, and I wanted the girls to have a stronger sense of self than their mother did when I was growing up. And so that, along with, I was coaching girls basketball in elementary, 3rd, 4th, 5th graders, and I could see these little girls come in timid and shy and not wanting to have any part of the ball, touching the ball, and working with them throughout the season and seeing them progress in confidence. And by the end of the season, you know, dribbling the ball, wanting to shoot, and I just saw this amazing progression through basketball. So I thought I'd like to do something with that in running. And so I went to Washington, D.C., and to a Women's Sports Foundation conference just because I had been a bank. I just thought there was something else for me to do. Though I loved what I did, but I just thought there was something else. And I was telling some women at a table that I wanted to do something with girls and self-esteem and running. And they told me about this brochure that was right there. And so I went and got the brochure, and the next day I called Molly Barker, and 2 weeks later I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, being trained in Molly's living room because the program was so small at the time. And at this time, we're one of the 5 longest standing Girls in the Run organizations in the country, and one of the 5 largest.
So Vermont is.
Vermont is,
Now
yeah.
that's so amazing. The Vermont's one of the largest when we have such a small population.
Well, there's a catch to that.
Okay.
I have the state of Vermont. There's no other council in the country that has the whole state.
Okay.
Because of our population, they gave me the whole state. So everywhere else, they have a city.
Regionals.
It's regional, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But,
so, my goodness, you're ahead of California.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But we are strong. And what got me interested most, going back to that, was experiences that I've had as a little girl. And I said that I grew up in this family of 3 older brothers that were great athletes. And in the 1960s, when I was born, it was kind of a chauvinistic time. I guess it's okay to say that. And when I was born, it was, oh, we have a girl, and what are we going to name her? And they didn't know, and so they decided they'd name me after whoever won Miss America that year. So it was Nancy Ann, and I'm Nancy Ann, and so that's kind of like typical of the time. And I was just, my role was to be sweet and cute and pretty and nice, and I was a people pleaser. I mean, that's just what, you know, the 3 boys, and then there's Nancy. And so that was my role, and that's what I did. And I can remember 3, not much about my childhood, except I remember 3 experiences that I had in 5th grade that I think really shaped and solidified my self-image. And just simple little things like trying out for chorus. All my friends were going to try out for chorus, and I was too afraid. I'm not a singer. I know my strengths and challenges. I'm not a singer. But those girls I wanted to be with, and they were trying out. So I laid in bed for 2 weeks before the tryout, singing The Man from the Galilee to my sister Sharon, just making her listen to me. And then I go in for the tryout, and the teacher said, sitting at the piano, "Sing Hop Up My Ladies." And I was like,
I haven't practiced that one.
I don't know. So anyway, I didn't make chorus, and I was really, hurt by that, and mostly because very embarrassed. And then I couldn't be with that group of friends. That was one separation from those friends. And then the next thing that happened in 5th grade is they separated us by division, A, B, C, and D. They were all in A, and I was Division B. And then the last thing that happened is I remember having to do a book report. And it was an oral report. I picked Tony Conigliaro was he was a Red Sox baseball player that got hit in the eye with a baseball. And so I did that, and it was going to be oral. So I was like, how am I going to do this? Because I really never talked. So I made this great visual aid, this poster, beautiful poster with pictures all over it. And I thought, this is what I can do. I'll get up there and I'll talk about that. And I got up there, and I couldn't say a word.
You froze?
absolutely froze. I'll never forget it. Mrs. Berrigan, she just stood there looking at me and said, after a minute, go to your seat, Nancy. And that was it. And so, you know, thinking about why Girls on the Run was some things that shaped me, those things I never forgot. And, you know, as I grew up, I was just quiet, and I didn't take a lot of risks. I just didn't take a lot of risks. And I didn't want that for my daughters, and we all want better for our girls. And I think that's why this coming spring we'll have 500 volunteer coaches, because of women like me that want the best for all of our children.
And they see this as an opportunity, a program that gives them opportunities that they didn't have.
Right.
Because everything was kind of structured around the school structure. And this is a more fluid, really geared towards the main goal is self-esteem.
Right, to know that they're just perfect the way they are. And, you know, to examine, and the curriculum lets them know that, you know, it teaches them, and they talk about things, and they process these things. And, you know, these girls are in groups with all different kinds of girls, athletic girls, non-athletic girls, girls that are pretty sedentary, girls that are very active, smart girls, girls who are physically challenged, and they become a very close team. And the key to the whole thing is it's non-competitive. It's supportive.
Because each girl has their own goals and sets of goals.
Right.
Now, and one of the things you showed me a picture, all the girls when they're doing a race, they wear the number 1.
They do.
That's a really cute idea.
We're all winners.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Now, when you have a girl comes in who is very timid, possibly, or has not moved much in let's say never broken a sweat in their life, in their young life, and then you might have someone who's very aggressive and, you know, moving all the time.
Right.
How do you handle those two personality types?
The personality types aren't so much of an issue. It's okay, because in the processing it all works out. It is challenging when you're doing your running. That's why it's really important to have 2 coaches, and we have also assistant coaches there. So they'll help. We can have coaches that stay with the girls that want to run faster and challenge themselves that way, and we can have coaches with the girls that just want to take it easy, set their goals. So it's more challenging, but we have the help there to help them, and you see more progress with those girls.
Oh, that's true.
You really do, and it's really exciting for them.
Really exciting. And what do they? Do you find that there's a good repeat? I mean, if a child.
Yes.
Now you said you started elementary. Is it 3rd grade?
3rd through 5th grade is Girls on the Run. And then there's another curriculum for middle school girls, grades 6 through 8, which is called Girls on Track.
Are you doing that?
We do. We have about 22 of our sites are Girls on Track sites. It's a little bit harder to get the middle school girls. It's not hard if they've done Girls on the Run, but also in middle school they seem to be busier. And the coaches are a little bit more difficult to find for middle school girls. I mean, we really like to have guidance counselors and nurses or women in there that the girls can relate to. And so it's a little bit harder to recruit girls and coaches for that program.
Well, in that age, they're already starting to play on teams.
They are.
Other ways and so forth. So.
But it is a wonderful program for those girls that aren't doing anything.
And with Girls on the Run, you must have quite a few repeaters.
Like 80% of them repeat it at least 2 or 3 years. I mean, at least 2 years or even more. It's almost rare that they don't repeat it. Yeah, and we have 2 different curriculums for Girls on the Run, so they don't have to do the same curriculum each year. And there's a brand new curriculum that's coming out, and that's out right now that we'll use for our spring program.
Now you have, how is the organization structured?
Well, there's Girls on the Run National, who's, it was where it was founded. We're Girls on the Run Vermont, and we're in about 160 cities around the country and 46 states. So that's how the organization is structured. And, we're almost, I don't like to use the word franchise, but we're almost like a franchise, where I have Vermont, but we're watched over by our national office, and they help us.
Yeah, well, you pay, franchise, they basically know what's worked and what hasn't. They also can compile things for you, and just a much broader resource.
And they've grown up with us. When I first started Girls on the Run, they were almost as new as we were. So we've grown together, and it's been really interesting to watch. And so they've gone from where, when I started Girls on the Run, I had to make up our program, our guidelines, our coach resource guides, our trainings, everything I did. But now, somebody coming into Girls on the Run, everything's done for them. So it's great. So it's really come a long way.
Yeah. And you get, what is your connection with the state? I mean, how does the state support you or recognize you?
The state supports us. They were supporting us through their Fit and Healthy Kids program when that was around. They gave us financial support. Governor Douglas has been wonderful. He comes to all of our 5K events. First time a couple times he's been to Brattleboro. He always comes up north, and and the girls love to see him there. So for a few years they supported us financially through the Vermont Department of Health, and now they support us. We're in communication a lot with Suzanne Kelly, who's the physical activity coordinator, and also the Vermont Department of Education, Lindsay Simpson, who is the head of physical education for Department of Education. She's a great supporter of Girls on the Run, so she helps us get things in newsletter. She's on our 5K committee. She's a Girls on the Run coach.
Well, you're basically an activity that's going on in the state that promotes this Vermont image of healthy living, healthy environment, healthy kids. We're very proud of where we rank nationally as far as our health and kids with the, all the health care programs that we have. And so it makes sense that they would want to list you on the website.
And they do,
that kind of stuff.
They are very supportive.
Yeah. And do you have any sponsors?
Our statewide sponsor is Blue Cross Blue Shield of Vermont, and we love them. The community outreach person there is Megan Peak, and she's been a coach for us for a couple of years. They support us financially. They do publications for us. We were in Sports Illustrated and Time Magazine and Newsweek last season through them.
We didn't even maybe we didn't even know that around here.
I mean, and I have them. Yeah, it was amazing, and also commercials on WCAX, and so they've been fabulous.
Great.
We were very fortunate.
Tell us about these 5K events.
Well, the 5K events, they're the culmination of the program, and they're just wonderful, wonderful events. And it's the girls, when you see them cross the finish line, you just want to cry. And they're crying, and their parents are crying. And they do it sometimes with their parents, their coaches, their peers. It is a community event open to the community. And
there's one in the south and one in the north, right?
So, we do one, they're in May and June. We don't have the exact dates for our upcoming events. But in Brattleboro in 2011, we'll have 2,000 people there, and up in Essex, we'll have 5,000 people anyway.
That's a big event.
They've grown to capacity, actually, and we're trying to figure out where to go from here.
Well, Nancy, thank you very much for sharing with us.
Thank you, Lynn.
It's nice to know. I've heard of this program, but not any of the details that you shared, so we all need to be aware of what's available for our kids. And we thank you for watching. You've been watching Neighbor to Neighbor. My name is Lynn Corum. I've been here with Nancy Heydinger, and we hope to see you on our next show.